Greetings, adventurers. My name is Kramer, and I am currently in a production of The Addams Family, which is why I look like this. And while I have to do this every night, and you probably won't have to do this every night, I thought to myself while I was doing this makeup that I've actually played NPC characters that are ghostly or undead or what have you, and I'm sure many of you have too. And I thought that doing a makeup tutorial might actually be really, really helpful given that it is the spooky season, so a lot of LARPs are likely to have undead characters in them. So, welcome to the bathroom. This is going to be a first for the channel because we're going to be working with makeup and with hair coloring stuff and a lot of water. I don't want to risk wearing my lapel mic, so pardon if the sound quality is not as good as it usually is. And I'm going to be taking you through my sort of pre-show, what I do every night before I go to the show. It's actually opening night tonight at the time of filming this, so I'm pretty excited. We've had some dress rehearsals to play around with hair and costume, but this is what I will be doing every night from now until the end of October. If you're doing this for a LARP, you will likely only have to do this for a weekend or a couple of hours for one day per weekend, something like that. So the first thing is you never do your makeup or your hair or whatever it is while you are in your costume. So go ahead and throw on a shirt that you don't really care about because we're going to be working with water, we're going to be working with a lot of different colors, and we don't want any of that to actually stain the costume that we're going to be wearing. When it comes to doing this, I always do my hair first, just because you're going to be working with water. This Malfa Yang hair coloring wax likes to be put into wet hair rather than dry hair. So even though my hair looks kind of good right now, I'm going to have to dampen it down and then start using this stuff. And then the makeup can go on after you've already wet your head. It's just a little bit easier of a work system. So I have found that this silver to gray-ish sort of hair coloring wax works better for the look we're going for, at least for my hair. My hair is quite dark as it is. And the white just doesn't pop out as much as the silver stuff does. We're going to section it off once it's damp and just work it in only with our fingertips. You're not going to want to like get it and rub it in your hands like you would for a regular hair product. This stuff likes to be done in sections. It's going to take a little bit of time, but it's going to give you the look that you want. And then I'm going to be using this hair white spray from like a Halloween store just to do a couple of highlights. This stuff is not very good for you. Don't spray it in an enclosed area. The first ingredient is acetone and the second ingredient is butane. So it's really, really bad for you. Spray it outside and don't breathe it in. So my hair is all damp now. What I'm gonna do is go ahead and comb it out because this stuff, it makes your hair look bald. That hair wax, it makes your hair really tacky and gritty. Even when it dries, it's very hard to the touch. So the less curly your hair is when it goes in, the happier you are going to be. The fun thing about it is that it doesn't really come out with sweat. It will come out with water. So if you're just doing an NPC shift for a couple hours or something, this stuff will come out without soap in the shower. Or if you're doing this for a character for the entire time, you can not wet your hair and it will stay in for a couple of days. And I highly suggest using like a throwaway brush because it will stain your brush too. So first thing I'm going to do is separate off the very top section of my hair so that I'm working with smaller sections rather than trying to color everything at once, which doesn't work very well. So the sections that I'm going to be working with here are the back quadrant on the right side, the back quadrant on the left side, the section here in front of the ear on the right, and the section in front of the ear on the left. And this is messy and it's a time-consuming process. So we're gonna get just a tiny little bit there on the finger. And a little bit of this stuff does go a long way. The more you put, the more your hair is gonna dry super, super hard and you're gonna look like a Lego person unless you brush it out. So just do a little bit at a time, starting from the tips and then working further up towards where your roots are and just work it through. Now, if you are playing a character or doing a costume where you know for a fact that only a certain portion of your hair is going to be visible to everybody, then you don't need to do your full head. Even though the hair is short here on the sides, don't forget to do your sideburns so that once you actually do the makeup on your face, everything sort of blends together instead of looking weird. So as I start to work on the top sections here, we're going to continue to build in that product. So the stuff on the back and the sides will become even lighter as we continue to add more product. Another thing that I found is that if you sort of twist your hair like this, you get more even coverage more quickly and it makes the whole process go a little bit faster. So I pull my hair out to the sides like this so I can see if the back is fully covered or not. And once you start to get a feel for this product and what it actually literally feels like in your hair, even if you can't get a good view of what it looks like, you will start to be able to sense whether or not your hair is colored based on how your hair feels with the product in it, because it's kind of gooey and unpleasant. Okay, so the base layer of coloring is in. As I said, we'll go in with the spray, probably once I get to the theater, so it might not actually be in the video. But I'll go in with the spray and do highlights as I need for now, because it's gonna take my hair a while to air dry. I'm just gonna brush it up out of my face so we can get to the fun part, which is the makeup. So when you're working, always make sure that you close the last thing that you worked with, because if you knock something, you don't want it to spill. That actually happened to one of my customers the other day. Someone was using their black makeup, they left it open on the counter, I walked away, and I came back, and there were like black spots all over one of my cloaks, so that wasn't a very fun experience. But it can happen, so don't let that person be you. So wearing this much makeup on your skin can make your skin very, very unhappy. So the first thing I do is put a very thin layer of moisturizer on so that all the makeup doesn't end up making me look really dry later. And we gotta remember, whether we're doing this for a short film, the makeup for screen is very different than the makeup for stage, because when you're watching something in 4K on a huge screen, you see every tiny little detail. The other thing is, though, you can also hide things and fix things in post when you're working with the camera. When you're doing something live, like for a LARP, or if you're performing or something, what people see up close is essentially in 4K too, and they see the whole thing. You can't really hide anything, so you do have to make sure that everything is on point. After the moisturizer on my face is dried, next is a layer of concealer. This is e.l.f. This is what I was given for the show. This is the lightest color of concealer they could find. I'm gonna do half of my face so you can see the difference. So when putting on concealer, I do little dots everywhere all over my face, and then I blend it and move it around with my finger so that it all looks pretty natural. Depending on the size of your face, I suppose these areas might differ based on how much you need to cover. Don't try to do your whole face at once, because the concealer may dry more quickly than you can blend some of it, and you're gonna end up with much lighter spots in various areas. So I have here on the chin, because the lips have to be gray, we're putting concealer on the lips too. Don't forget to do the front of your nostrils here. If you just do the top, it's gonna look like regular skin color. We need to do the whole face, and try either around your eyebrows or around your actual head hair to get as close into the hairline as you can without actually getting makeup all over your hair. If you've got hair as long as me and you're not going to do a slick back like I have it brushed back right now and the hair sort of falls over, or you can have a hat, it will help to hide that differential between your face makeup and the actual color of your scalp. But just try to get it as close to your hairline as possible anyway. My personal philosophy is that do more than you need to, and then if something goes wrong and you lose a costume piece or something falls, you don't break everyone's immersion by having part of your face be makeup and part of it not be makeup. So I just kind of do everything even though I don't need to. Really, really important tip here. Don't forget to do your ears. Your ears are seen by people too. If your face is super pale but your ears are the same color as your normal skin, that is going to break people's immersion. So don't forget to lighten up your ears. And right there behind the sideburns. And don't forget to do your neck too if your neck is going to be seen. If you've got an open collar or a low collar, make sure that you're doing all of the skin that is going to be seen. There, now you can see half of my face, how much paler it looks. We're losing a lot of shadows now, but we're gonna fill those in later. Now that we're looking suitably mimish, the next thing I like to do is do the eyeliner. This is where half of the guys in the audience collectively roll their eyes, but eyeliner is important. It's gonna make your eyes pop, and it's gonna make you look a little bit less goofy. You can use a magnifying mirror like this. That's usually what I do, but for the sake of the video, I will just sort of eyeball it, pun intended, in the big mirror here. There are different types of eyeliner. There are the ones that are the pencils. Those are my least favorite. This one is sort of like like a chalky sort of substance, and then there are the actual liquid ones. Those are my favorite, but this is what I have to work with at the moment. And there's different ways to do eyeliner. You can underline underneath the eye where the actual hair is growing, or you can do your waterline, which is the inside of the eye. That's gonna make your eyes actually look smaller, and if you do, I believe that's the case, and if you do on the outside, it will make your eyes pop a little bit more. So for this case, because we are playing somebody dead, ghostly, I am going underneath the eye rather than in the waterline. So after the eyeliner is done, I'm using just a white powder to go through and lighten everything back up. Again, I will do half of my face so you can see the difference, or hopefully see the difference. The lighting's pretty good in here, so I'm hoping the camera will pick it up. And it's very important to do the concealer first. Even if you're just going to use this white makeup anyway. This is again from a Halloween store, it's not very high quality. But it's important to do the concealer first because it gives you a better base to work with. This powder is going to stay on your face better, you're less likely to sweat it off as easily, and it's less work. You'll have to use less of the powder if you're using a concealer first. And if you're doing your makeup in a well-lit environment, which hopefully you have the chance to do, you can tilt your head and look at it from different angles, and the light will catch the makeup at different spots, and you'll start to see where you have missed areas that need to be whitened even more. Because skin tends to look sort of red, sort of ruddy, because we are creatures that are alive and have blood, but dead creatures don't have that. So if you have any sort of that skin color still sort of gently peeking through and tinting the color of the white, you'll see that as the light hits it from different angles. So yeah, you can totally see the difference here between just using the concealer and then using the concealer with the white powder. This side of my face is noticeably whiter, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side. We're still looking suitably mimish. The thing that we've done is, because we've covered everything in white, we've removed all of the shadow and all of the features of our face, so everything looks very, very flat. That's what the black makeup is for, that's what the makeup brush is for. I'll be using the thinner sort of end there for most of it. If this, for whatever reason, is what your character is supposed to look like, you're done. It's pretty simple. You put on the lightest concealer you can possibly find, and then you put on white makeup. That's all easy. This adding in the shadows is where most mistakes happen. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to contour my nose bridge. So starting up here at the eyebrow, following the line of my nose bone and coming down to about where my nostrils start to flare. Again, this isn't how I normally do this, but I will do just one side so you can see the difference this makes. Starting from the corner of my eye, right here where my tear duct is, I'm gonna bring that at a slight angle down into the line that I just drew, sort of defining my boundary a little bit. And then I'm gonna come in and just fill that in a little bit within that line, right there. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the brush and I'm going to come underneath the eyeliner, not on the bone of the eye socket, but literally on the skin underneath the eyeball right there. You'll be able to feel it. There's that little divot where if you're really pressed, you could stick your finger into your eye if you wanted to. Don't do that. Next, I'm going to take the brush and essentially from here in the corner of my head down to my eyebrow, and then with the wider end of the brush, we're going to do our cheeks. So the way I was taught to do this and then the way that I actually do this are slightly different. What you want to do is you want to find your actual cheekbone on your face, and then underneath that cheekbone where the hollow is, that's what you want to be doing. Because I have a mustache and I want everything to look even, I actually start here at the corner of my mouth and then bring it up into my sideburn. And the final thing is to come just here underneath the jawbone, come all the way up towards the ear, all the way down. If you have no facial hair, then you have to come all the way to the chin, probably, but just right here on the cheekbone. So the next step with this is to actually blend everything, and for this I just use my fingers because that's what I have. Don't smudge it everywhere because you will end up with just a gray face instead. So follow the lines that you drew, but just sort of smooth everything out, creates this feathered edge effect on the lens that you just drew, so everything looks a little bit less harsh. Here on the eye, you want to spread the makeup up following the line of your eye socket. And I use the side of my finger for the cheeks here, wiping down rather than up because shadows are cast downwards if you're being lit from the top. And same thing with the jaw. So there's the difference once all of the dark and the shadows have been added back in after we took them out with the concealer and with the white makeup. Now the important thing with the eyes here, it's very easy to make yourself look like a raccoon by accident, and that happens if you are darkening more than just your eye socket, and if you're darkening the whole thing. So you'll notice that I leave this part white. It's just gently here in that hollow where your eye actually is, and not on the actual bone itself, and then just following in that same location where that squishy part is, your eye is up at the top, sort of fades back into the white again. If you do your whole eye socket, it's gonna look like you're a raccoon. The only reason I would say to do that is if you know you're gonna be wearing a mask where your eye sockets are exposed, sort of like the Batman mask, where you do have to darken everything so that the mask sort of blends in with the makeup. But don't do your whole eye in black, and certainly don't go any further into your face than just your eyelids. We need to do our lips. That's why we put the concealer on the lips, is so that they become whiter, and now we need to go back through with the black brush and darken our lips up. That's gonna complete the look. There we go. You could use eyeliner to sort of outline your lips if you wanted to, but I don't always do that. I don't find that it's like super helpful. So now, we have to go back in and use the Mao Feiyang on my facial hair. And I know that there's some people cringing at the idea of doing that to our nice beards that we work so hard on keeping soft. But I've actually been, over the last couple of weeks, as I've been doing trial and stuff to do the makeup for the show, I've also been trying out some of the Beard Club's products, and I've actually found that their beard wash actually does really soften my beard after having all of this gunk in it for 2.5 hours every night. And so I've been super, super happy with that. So after I bought the Beard Club products, because I was really hoping that they would help me while I'm doing all of this random stuff to my face for my show every night, I decided that I really liked them, and I did reach out to them. So there is a discount code for you down in the description if you have a beard and you are looking to help soften it up a little bit. But so now this stuff goes in. It doesn't feel very good, but it does sort of act as a beard styling product, so I don't have to put any wax or anything in it. But after the show, after a long night, getting to wash it with the beard wash and then putting some beard oil in makes it feel like I didn't just desecrate my facial hair for a show. Now, something that I've actually found to be really helpful, even though we are lightening my beard, so this does sound counterintuitive, but I actually go through with the black powder and fill in my mustache a little bit. And even here in the beard, in the goatee itself, coming through the jaw, if I just darken that up a little bit, once I lighten it, it appears like my beard is fuller. That's one of the other reasons I wanted to try the Beard Club products, is to try to get a thicker beard, because it's a genetic thing, I know that, but I feel like a lot of the genetics are there for me. So I felt like the products would help, but so far they've been great. I haven't been able to try the derma roller yet, which is the thing I was like the most excited about, but because I'm caking my face in makeup every night, it doesn't really make sense to be poking holes in my face. So after all this, we're actually still not done. There's one final step, which is to use either a setting powder or a setting spray, preferably both. You put the powder on and then you put the setting spray on, and that is gonna keep your sweat as you are running around on the battlefield, fighting all of the regular player characters, or if you're a player character fighting all the NPCs, it's gonna keep your sweat from having all this makeup drip and run off all over you, especially if you're doing a weekend event or a longer than weekend event. The last thing you want to do is be spending all of your time applying makeup rather than actually playing the game. Making sure you go through to put on a setting powder and then a setting spray is going to mean that your makeup is going to stay looking good for much longer. And then after you've done all that, we're still not done, because my hands are exposed. It's no good if my face looks dead, but my hands look alive, so I have to now do my hands. Now, when it comes to doing the hands, the easiest thing I found to do is use some blue eyeliner, and we're also going to be using the concealer again. I know that I need to come up to about here on my arm, because that's how far my sleeves come up when I extend my hands while I'm dancing. The first thing I do is do a couple push-ups, lift some weights or something, so that I can try to get my actual veins to pop out a little bit. I'm very cold right now, so we'll see how this goes. But the idea is to use this blue eyeliner to actually just trace out the veins on my actual hand. After that's done, I go through and I actually smooth everything out with my finger just to soften those lines a little bit. Because the hand has so many veins in it, you can actually go as crazy or as minimal as you want with this. The idea is just to have a little bit extra vascularity that a normal person wouldn't have. Black eyeliner can work instead of blue. I just find that blue pops a little bit more. And because we're dead, blue seems to make a lot of sense here rather than having red alive blood. I even have some veins here on the pad of my thumb that I could do if I really wanted to, but I'm not gonna worry about that right now. Now I'm gonna go through with the concealer, which I've dotted onto my hand, and I'm just going to gently pat everything down. You don't wanna smear it all over everything all at once because it can cause the eyeliner to run and smudge, and then the work that you did on your veins sort of disappears. But after you've spread it around a little bit, then you can start to cover your whole hand and cover your veins. Follow the direction of the lines that you drew so that even if the eyeliner or whatever it is you happen to be using does sort of smear a little bit, it's at least smearing in the direction of the lines that you drew. And what this sort of does is help cover and soften the edges of those lines of your veins so that they don't stand out quite so much. They're still very, very visible, but it helps it look a little bit like they're not just makeup drawn onto your hand. And I can see now where there are spots that I have to add more concealer. You can see the difference here between the veins that I've drawn and then covered with the concealer versus the veins that are just drawn on without the concealer. Another way that you could do this is put the concealer on first, then draw the veins with the blue, and then put the white makeup on. I find that that doesn't work as well because it doesn't stay on your hand quite as long. And for comparison, here is my hand that is more dead. It's lightened slightly with the veins drawn on versus my alive hand without the veins drawn on. And it really does make a difference when you are in costume. Now, one of the important things about playing a character that is supposed to be undead like this is that the makeup really isn't enough. You have to sell it with the way that you're actually acting the character too. So what you want to do, if you can help it, LARPing is different than stage because people are always all around you, but you actually want people to see you from angles that people aren't really used to ever seeing a human face from, because that all helps sell this is not a human person that I'm looking at. If I'm just standing here talking to you, it looks like I'm wearing really weird makeup, but if I'm at this angle staring at you, you're not used to seeing a person look at you like this, and it all helps sell the character a little bit more. Also, exaggerated facial expressions that normal people don't make when they're really talking to you all will help sell the character a little bit more. One of the go-tos is always looking at someone with the middle of your forehead, your third eye, and then looking up at them rather than just looking at them head on, or looking at them down like this rather than just head on. So any of these positions will help sell the character more. If you do find this video helpful, especially if you are the NPC sort of lead or head and you're in charge of leading everybody else, or you help run a LARP, please do share this with your team if you enjoyed the video so that everyone can see it and learn from it. So thank you for joining me today. I really do hope that you found it helpful. If you, for whatever reason, live in Southern Utah and would like to actually see my production of The Addams Family, come see me perform live, then you can do so with the link in the description. St. George Musical Theater's production of The Addams Family. We run through the end of October. So I will see you very soon. The set is coming along very nicely. It is almost done. Can't wait to share it with you, so I'll see you very soon. And in the meantime, I'd like to wish you good luck on your adventures.